Yo guys, what is up? Moxie here with another Borderlands 4 video, and today we actually got some huge news on the upcoming content for Borderlands 4. Now, if you've been out of the loop, Borderlands 4, since its launch, hasn't actually received any paid content drops. The one bounty pack that was supposed to come out didn't live up to kind of Gearbox's standard for how they wanted it to be, so they released it as a free thing. Now, tomorrow drops the first ever kind of paid content for Borderlands 4. This is going to be the Legend of the Stone Demon. This is a bounty pack, so it's not like a full-size expansion, but it is seemingly much larger than the free Christmas one that they did. They just released this kind of devcast is what they're calling it, where they sit down with some of the devs and talk about not only the content that is going to be coming in this expansion that's coming out tomorrow, but also Pearlescent rarity loot, what Pearlescent rarity loot is going to look like, how to get it, and more. We're going to be breaking down everything you guys need to know. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let's do this. So to start us off, the Legend of the Stone Demon Bounty Pack 2 drops tomorrow on Thursday. This is going to be available for purchase separately. However, if you bought the Deluxe Edition, it is included. Now, in comparison to the Christmas Bounty Pack, they said that this one is easily 3 to 4 times the size. That one also was fairly linear and only had one boss. This is going to have one main boss that's like required to kill, but also 3 optional bosses. They said that the zone is pretty freaking massive, the size of like a mini zone in the open world, and it's going to have a lot of areas to explore, a lot of verticality, and a lot of loot to find. They said that this bounty pack and the like 4 bosses in total have more loot dropping than all 3 of the vaults combined in the base game of Borderlands 4. So there's going to be a lot. I'm expecting some new class mods, new shields, new guns. It should swap up, builds and playstyles quite a bit. Just the injection of the massive amount of loot. Plus, that is not including the bounty card, which also is going to have 4 new pieces of gear. Here you can see kind of a preview of some of the areas and the enemies. And it's looking really, really great. The next thing they mention is Pearlescent gear. Now, we haven't had Pearlescent gear in a Borderlands game since Borderlands 2, which was, I think, over 10 years ago now. This is the first time that we've really had a rarity above Legendary. There you can see what the beam looks like in-game. Looks freaking awesome. And they said that this is going to be the rarest gear in the game to find. It is apparently a slightly higher drop rate than Phosphine gear, so not like unbelievably difficult to get, but it's still going to be much more difficult to get than a legendary. Now, the big question that everyone's asking that they actually answered during this stream is what makes something a pearlescent? Now, the kind of in-game lore about why this gear exists is having to do with Ordinite. It seems like Ordinite has kind of seeped into the guns. They did mention that like Ordinite enemies can drop pearls, and that this kind of chaotic crystal material has been leaking into some of these weapons and made them into pearlescent rarity. Now, a pearlescent rarity, I think, is going to be totally new gear, but what separates a pearl from another piece of gear is it's going to have a, like, pearl element on it. So they mentioned it's kind of a bit like a Maliwan, where if you get a fire pearlescent to drop, it could drop with the pearl element of corrosive. And that means that whenever you're firing at enemies that are flesh bars that are weak to fire, your pearl element isn't going to be doing anything. It's just going to be firing as a fire weapon. But when you start firing against an armored bard enemies, then your fire damage is actually going to get converted to corrosive so that you're getting the weakness against corroded enemies. Now, how like build-wise this is going to work, if it's going to count as corrosive or fire, like how that system is going to work, not totally sure, because a lot of builds in Borderlands are very focused on singular elements, However, they said the idea and intention behind this is so that weapons can be used against like everything. Like you could use your pearlescent weapon against a bunch of different pieces of content. You're not going to feel restricted in using it by it being locked to an element, because most pearls will have like 2 elements, so they're going to be at least good against like 2 things. It sounds like they want these things to be strong and be able to be used by a lot of different builds. That was kind of the more intention, as if you're a fire build and you get a pearl that drops in shock, you could still, or as a shock locked pearl, you could still use it in your build because it can swap to fire, basically. So not totally sure how I feel about that yet. Really want to see how it is implemented in game and how it functions. But that is going to be what kind of like separates a pearl from the rest of the gear in the game. The next thing to make very clear is that pearls are going to be free for all players. There will be an area to farm them, it sounds like, in this new bounty pack. But those areas to farm pearls are going to be everywhere. So they're going to be like in the base game as well. And it sounds like the area to farm these, or how you're going to be farming them, is going to be from a new activity called the Ordinite Processor. Now, they mentioned that Ordinite enemies drop pearls, or have a chance to drop pearls. And this Ordinite Processor is going to be basically a way to attract a ton of Ordinite enemies. So you're going to be, maybe flipping a switch, having some activity where it spawns a ton of mobs in that are going to be Ordinite enemies, and this is going to be a repeatable activity. Their original blog post said that it wasn't going to be repeatable. It does sound like it's going to be repeatable, so that you can just do it as soon as it's over. You can click it again. Hopefully this makes, being out in the world and doing these activities a little bit more intriguing. We need like more world content, because right now the end game of Borderlands 4 is very much just like killing a boss over and over again. So it sounds like we might be getting some genuinely challenging mobbing content that's also going to be rewarding. So I am really excited for that. And the last thing to mention is with this DLC, and the last thing to mention is with the bounty pack, there's also going to be a new vault card with new cosmetics that they said are kind of kaiju/anime inspired. And there's going to be 4 new pieces of gear. They said that this new pieces of gear, in general, sounds like they're going to be a little bit more mobbing oriented because of this new activity that's coming. So they mentioned that like one of the pieces of gear is going to be a grenade that can deploy decoys of yourself, so that enemies like kind of draw or start firing at the decoys instead of you. So it should be helpful for like mobbing content, or if you get low health, you throw this grenade and like get behind cover while the enemies focus something else. Sounds pretty solid. We did see something like that in Borderlands 3. Guys, that's going to do it for the video. I hope you enjoyed. Gonna be honest, I really hope this content hits like a truck. I personally just haven't been playing a lot of Borderlands 4. I got a little burnt out, and I've been really disappointed in the post-launch rollout of quality of life improvements, content, and just balance changes that they made. It feels like everything's been going at a sloth pace compared to Borderlands 3. So this is our first ever like paid content dropping for BL4. It is dropping like 6 months later, but hopefully it's really good. I would love a reason to play Borderlands 4 again and grind it, and it looks like this is going to be that reason. Obviously, I'm going to be holding all my opinions until I get to play it myself, but on paper, it's looking pretty good. And then we've also got the new expansion launching with cash relatively soon. I believe that's either going to be next month or the month after. They did say like Q1 of 2026, so should be relatively close. Guys, it's going to do it for the video. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch y'all in the next one, guys. Take care. Bye.